In the depths of the sea lived a king and his daughters in a crystal palace. The 6 mermaids had human bodies, but tails like fish. They were all very cute. The youngest was especially beautiful and clever. The mermaids very much wanted to see the human world. However, the rule of the sea was that the mermaids must be 15 years old before they may swim to the surface. Over the next few years, the 5 older sisters were each allowed to swim to the surface of the sea. The youngest mermaid was extremely envious. She was very anxious to swim to the surface of the sea. Finally, the little mermaid's 15th birthday arrived. She was very happy to be able to swim above the surface of the water. She sat on a piece of coral as she admired the beauty of the setting sun. The sky quickly became dark. The mermaid was just about to return when suddenly she heard a melodious sound. A boat began to approach her. In the still night sky, the boat was bright and filled with life. The little mermaid leaned up against the boat's cabin to see what was going on. It just so happened that it was the prince's birthday, and the officials were holding a big banquet for him. The prince was so carefree and handsome that the little mermaid could not help but fall in love with him. Suddenly, a huge wave knocked the boat against a coral reef, splitting the boat to pieces. All those on the boat sank into the ocean. The little mermaid came over to the prince and discovered that he was already unconscious. She grabbed hold of him and, riding upon a wave, swam to the coast. The next morning, while the prince was still unconscious, the little mermaid saw a young girl walk over, so she hid behind the coral. When the prince opened his eyes, he immediately fell in love with the kind-hearted girl. The little mermaid watched the prince slowly walk into the distance, and heartbroken, she returned to the bottom of the sea. The little mermaid wished that she could be with the prince forever. She came to a magical palace under the sea and asked the witch to give her 2 human legs. The old witch said, "Drink this bottle of potion and you will have 2 long, slender legs. However, if your beloved prince marries someone other than you, the next day you will turn into sea foam. Little mermaid, are you willing to undergo that pain?" "I am willing," said the little mermaid firmly. Without hesitation, she drank down the potion. Immediately, she felt a sharp pain and passed out on the ground. When the little mermaid awoke, she discovered that her fish tail had turned into 2 legs, and the prince was beside her. The prince asked her many questions, but the little mermaid was unable to speak. The prince grabbed her hand and slowly led her to the royal palace. Just as the witch said, each step felt as if she were walking on daggers. However, she withstood the pain and continued to walk gracefully. The prince and others were all taken aback by her elegance. One day, the prince wanted the little mermaid to travel to a neighboring kingdom with him, so she agreed. However, this kingdom's princess happened to be the young girl that saved the prince. The prince, meeting her unexpectedly, was overjoyed to see that they were destined to be together. They were soon married. On the day of the wedding, the little mermaid's heart was thoroughly shattered. She kissed the prince's hand and silently blessed him. The next morning, the little mermaid would turn into sea foam, and disappear forever. She stood on the deck gazing off into the sea. Suddenly, her 5 sisters stuck their heads out of the water and handed her a shiny knife. Her sisters said, "Little sister, before the sun rises, you must stab the prince in the chest and let his blood run down your feet. That way you will turn back into a mermaid and can return to the sea." Just as she was about to stab the prince, he turned in his sleep and called out his bride's name. The little mermaid could not hold back the tears. She tossed the knife into the sea. Now it was daylight. The little mermaid took one last look at the prince and jumped into the sea. The little mermaid could feel herself slowly turning to foam and also noticed that she was rising. "Where am I going?" the little mermaid asked curiously. A distant voice told her, "Beautiful mermaid, your good deeds have given you an indestructible soul. An angel is bringing you to heaven."